fifth graders of Nooksack Elementary. This is Miss Anderson here to teach math for the rest of the year. And so in your packets, please get out page 103, sharing and grouping, multiplying and dividing. We're going to go through what sharing and grouping are again. So follow along with me. Our learning target is I can identify sharing and grouping division story problems. We're going to start with sharing, and you might notice that you've seen some of these posters that we made in class together. So here's our first sharing problem, sharing division. Jeff made 12 cookies and divided them equally among his 4 cousins. How many cookies did each cousin get? I'm going to cover up what we have so far on the poster so we can do it together. Remind ourselves what sharing division problems look like. So we start with Jeff made 12 cookies. 12 is our dividend, the number that we are dividing. So 12 cookies. And then we know that we're sharing them or dividing them equally among 4 cousins. I like to say sharing them out because when you have people in a story problem, most of the time it's a sharing division problem. You're sharing among different friends or cousins. So we have 4 cousins that we're dividing by. That is our divisor, the number that we're going to divide into. And then we are looking for how many cookies does each cousin get. So I'm going to start with, we already know how many people there are, how many groups. So this is number of groups. So I can make 4 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we already know that there's 12 cookies to start with. Number to start with. We know that we're going to divide these 12 cookies into these 4 groups. So we're looking for the number in each group or the size of the group. So let's take our 12 cookies and just put them into our 4 groups. 1 cookie, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So once I divided out my 12 cookies, I know that now I have 3 in each group. 3 is my quotient, my answer to a division problem. So with sharing, your answer is always the number in each group or the size of each group. So if you look at your paper on page 103, there's a little bubble that says the size of each group, for example, the number of items each person got. That's always a sharing problem when that is the answer. Let's look over our poster. Very similar. 4 groups, cousin 1, 2, 3, and 4, each have 3 cookies. 12 is the number we started with. 4 was the number of groups we had, and 3 is how many in each group. So that's our sharing division. You're always looking for how many in each group. Now let's take out our grouping division problem. Very similar to our sharing one, so that we can use the same numbers. Jeff and his cookies. Jeff made 12 cookies and packed them into sacks of 4. How many sacks of cookies was he able to make? Now you're probably thinking, the same numbers, Miss Anderson, but the problem's a little bit different. As we can see, we still start with 12 cookies. So we can write 12 as our dividend, the number that will be divided. 12. And then the next thing is a little different. We know that he's putting them into sacks of 4. So we know that he's dividing them by 4, but instead of people this time, we know how many in each group. So this number right here is the size of each group. We are now looking for, the 4 is our divisor, 2. We're dividing by 4. This is how many cookies we started with. And we're looking for our quotient, the answer to a multiplication problem, which would mean that that's how many groups there are, because we know there's 4 in each sack. So if I was to draw like a Ziploc bag, a sack that he's putting them in, I know that he put 4 cookies in each sack. So I have 4 so far, but I still have to make another one because I have to get to 12. So that's the first sack. Now I have 8. My second one, and I put another 4 cookies in a sack, and I have 12. That means he made 3 sacks of cookies, and then we know that that's the number of groups. So whenever you have a grouping problem, your quotient, your answer, is going to be the number of groups you made. So if we look over at our grouping poster, there's 3 sacks. 3 is how many groups we made. We knew that there was 4 in each group. That's what we started with. So a grouping division problem will have how many groups as its answer. So when you are looking at your problems, the 2 little bubbles you can fill are either the size of each group, which would be a sharing problem, or the number of groups, which would be a grouping problem. All right, thank you, friends, for looking at sharing and grouping with me. We'll be back for more videos next time.